Hey everybody, welcome to episode 29 of Immigration Talks. I'm back here with my wonderful associate attorney, Anna Sergeeva. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Thank you so much, John. So today we're going to talk about everything immigration-wise that happened during the summer. So you guys probably went overseas on vacation, so you're really not looking up what's going on with immigration, but we're going to update you on most of the important stuff that we find important. There's so much more news, so we're going to talk about everything here. But the most important things that happened during this summer 2022, this is the topic today, so please stay with us till the end. It's all the information is like very, very important if you're going through any immigration process.
We have like a top 10 list we're going to go through, and this is things typically our clients have to deal with, so it's important to know. We also have a bunch of clips on this, so join us on our YouTube main page. We also have a YouTube clips channel where you can catch this stuff. And let's jump into it. I got to say, this is all general education stuff. The rules change constantly, so talk with a lawyer in private to make sure how it applies to you in your case, or things change after recording this. But the biggest, most fun and easiest thing that we see is that was a change was them making permanent the requirement for copies of signatures. So, typically when you sign a form, you want them to see an original signature, but that's changed now. That changed because of COVID, but that's the same. So what is the change, and what should people be watching out for, Anya?
Yeah, so it's I don't know if it's the proper word, blessing, but it's very, very beneficial for us as an attorneys. It makes the whole logistics easier. So now we don't have to send the USCIS packages with original signatures. So now you just sign the form. It still has to be signed by hand. No, like other electronic signatures, nothing like that. It still has to be signed by hand, but you can just take a picture of this signed page. You can scan it, and send it to USCIS. It works. We've been filing it since the COVID pandemic started it, and now USCIS made it permanent. So I'm very, very happy about that. And you guys can utilize this as well. For example, if your spouse is overseas or something, you cannot get originals fast. No problem. Just sign it by hand. Take a good picture, scan it. That's it. You're done.
Yeah, we actually, one of the biggest things I see when people file themselves, they come to me when it was rejected or denied, is they come back and they had a digital signature there. This especially hits people on student visas because there's a deadline for filing. They submit the thing with a digital signature, it gets rejected. By the time they come to refile, the window of filing the OPT for student visa OPT ends, and then they're out of status. They got to leave, and it's a horrible situation. So it has to be ink signature. That's a copy of it. And then when you print that copy, a lot of times when people do on their own, they cut out the bottom part of the page that has the addition or expiration date, or expiration date, I think, or addition date actually, of the form and the page number of it. You got to have that info, or else your case can get rejected or denied later. So got to be mindful of these nuances, but it makes logistics of the whole thing much, much better.
Yes. So the next update that we're going to talk about today is about forms. USCIS have been working so hard to update, if not all of the forms, but probably most of it. And we're just going to go over the most popular ones, the most useful that people using the most. So first thing, they updated work permit application, and they managed to update it twice during the summer. So one was at the end of May, and second was just like recently, like end of July or something like that. So work permit application updated.
Well, not only has the paper format updated, but they open it up where if you're parolee filing for I-765, you do it online now too. So they're trying to increase the online submissions and the delivery mechanism. And along with that, if you're going to do it by paper, make sure to check to make sure you're mailing it to the right place. And on the website for the form has the mailing location, because they've been changing mailing addresses like every day almost. Every morning we get, oh, change this mailing address. And you're like, oh, okay, I already just sent the form in yesterday. I changed it without any notification or anything like that. So you got to make sure to avoid delays to send it to the right place.
Yeah, thank you, John, for jumping in. So the next form, extend change of status, I-539 was changed to the new edition as well. I-129, it's work petition. I-485, the actual green card application for adjustment of status. So if you started your application a while ago, I know it takes time, for people, when people do it themselves, it takes time for you to collect all the information. Please make sure that you're using the most recent edition of this form. This is very, very important.
We have the issue too. Sometimes we start a case with a client, they disappear for 3-4 months, or they can't get a document. We have one I-130 we started like 9 months ago, and it took 9 months to get the divorce certificates, and so you have to redo all the forms all over again because they were updated. The I-130 was updated like 6-9 months ago or something. So it pops up. You have to be very careful of it because you kind of lose track, but they'll just reject the case or something. You don't want that to happen.
Exactly. So then a medical exam report form was updated, and it's funny because we just did a video on this like in the summertime, and it was updated a week after we published the video. So if you're watching one of our previous videos, make sure that you're using the most current edition, because in our video we were still using the one before that. So
check with the doctor too, because the doctors sometimes don't keep, like, they print out all these and have them there, and they don't keep up on these updates. So they'll fill out your medical exam with the old form, and then you're the one stuck with issues later on. So you want to get a copy of the medical and check out that video. Maybe we'll put a link somewhere for that. It breaks down what's needed, because when people file on their own, the medical exam is confusing. It causes problems and extra costs for them. Check out that whole video about 5 major mistakes on the I-6. The 5 major, just in general, on the medical checkout problems we see. And we have a checklist of stuff to think about there. We'll have a link in the description.
temporary protected status application form I-821 was updated to asylum application I-589, and now USCIS allows to file asylum applications online as well. So please, we don't do asylum, and sometimes filing online can be beneficial, sometimes not. For most of our cases, we file by mail, by regular mail. But for example, if you're doing it yourself, sometimes it may be better for you to file online. Again, depending on your case, if there's some deadlines and stuff like that. So
yeah,
please check that out.
Asylum does have a 1-year deadline, so if you're getting close to it and the mail might not get there, maybe doing it online is the way to go to get it faster. Great point. So the next one is a big deal. It's about COVID and the vaccination requirements. So essentially, for the most part, when you're entering the United States, you need to have the COVID vaccine. But also, there's a testing requirement, which is really annoying because trying to test every time you come in and out, it's annoying. So the U.S. did update the testing requirement. What does that mean now?
So no more tests when traveling to the United States. No more COVID tests. This is not a requirement anymore since, I believe, June 12th. I'm sorry. So, but the vaccination requirement is still there. So if you are not a U.S. citizen, if you are not a lawful permanent resident of the United States, vaccination requirement still applies to you. So, and again, vaccines have to be either approved by U.S. or for this World Health Organization,
yeah.
at least for like emergency use or something like that.
Yeah. And
so
with the okaying of vaccines for children between 6 months and 2 years, they also have to be vaccinated as well. So you just got to do that if you want the child to enter. This pops up a lot in family immigration cases. So let's say you're married, you file for your spouse and your baby or something like that. The baby's going to need a vaccine if they're past 6 months, year of age. The wife first, or probably the wife would have a baby with them, but it could be other ways too. Just you got to get the vaccine to be able to enter there. You can always try to request a waiver of the vaccine requirement. It works, as I've seen it work, but it's not a reliable method. So you're kind of throwing your hands up there. Maybe it'll work, but most likely you're just gonna have to get the vaccine.
Yeah, I just gonna throw a quick tip there. So this new requirement that COVID vaccine is required for kids 6 months of age and older. This applies only to immigrant visa processing. For example, if you are traveling to the United States on tourist visa, it's only for those who are older, if I'm not mistaken, 16 or 18 years old.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, so this is a huge distinction. So check out the rules, because again, anything can change. Anything can change tomorrow.
Yeah. The context we usually get hired for stuff is in the immigrant visa context. People file for the green card, so that's what we have to know for our cases. But be mindful of that. Probably best just get the vaccine because even when you come here, there's going to be all those requirements. It pops up, but it's a personal decision. And just check this stuff out because they keep changing the rules on the vaccines every day. So something's going to change. Fall and September and in winter, all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. So the next big news is all about TPS. Syria got redesignated for TPS. Cameroon, new designation. We're just talking about.
Yeah, TPS is temporary protected status. So if you're from a country, you're in the United States, even without status or with status, the visa, and some wild things happens in your country that makes it hard for you to go back. Syria, obviously, the civil war. We have like a natural disaster happen. Yeah, hurricane. Venezuela has a internal turmoil, and so Syria, as you said, got redesignated. Cameroon got designated, and Venezuela got extended. But the big news is regarding the travel documents related for TPS.
Yes, so USCIS said that they will not be issuing advance parole documents for TPS beneficiaries. Okay, there will be some new travel authorization document. We have not seen it yet, how it looks, what it is about, but it won't be advance parole anymore. Basically, why they're doing it right now, for the most part, because now they will be considering TPS holders if they traveled on this new travel document. They will be able to adjust status in the United States. So that's why it happens.
A long Supreme Court situation we're not gonna get into of why it's TPS, the way they written the statute is crazy. So like it's hard for decipher what's going on with it. Went to the Supreme Court and they said some certain things that happen. So the Biden administration is kind of like pivoting and doing a new maneuver to try to fix up stuff for TPS immigrants.
Yes, an important note is that the new travel authorization documents, they will be issued only to those people who already been granted TPS. And for example, those who just applied for TPS, they will still be USCIS will still be continuing issuing advance parole documents for those people. The application form stayed the same. It's still I-131. Yes, but the end result will be different.
Yeah, and it's a discretionary thing. So if you file, you won't necessarily get it, but that's the methodology for that. Now, the H-1B lottery this year didn't have a second round. Some backstory. The last couple of years, when you want to file for an H-1B work visa, the case you can start filing. They had a lottery system. If approved, you start filing the case on April 1st. And if not enough people file for the H-1B, there's numbers left over because there's a limit of them. Then they had a second round last 2 or 3 years and a third round to make sure people are getting these visas because not enough people were applying for it. Not so much this year, unfortunately, because we have clients who are hoping to get a second try at it. But the lottery was only one round this year, no second round. They announced it, I don't know, a month ago, a couple weeks ago, something like that. So it's a sad thing that people didn't get it in. But H-1B visa is being used as people are going to take advantage.
Like just to give you a bit of statistics, in last year there were like 300,000 initial applications, registrations for H-1B lottery, and initially USCIS picked only 87,000. This year, 483,000 initial registrations, and they picked 127,000. So probably for future, that's what USCIS is going to be doing for next years. So they're going to be picking up more initially they will be picking up more registrations, and probably we may not see second and third rounds next years, because I think that's what USCIS aim to do.
Now, another cool thing that USCIS did, along with the signature requirement we spoke about earlier, is they once again extended the flexibility to file a case past a deadline for certain types of cases. Now, the previous time they did that, they said this is probably the last time, but then they went ahead and extended it. And we actually had done a video saying they said they're not going to extend it. And like 2 days after our video, they extended it again. But it's really good to give sometimes 60 days or varied stuff depending on what you have. What you always should do is, if you have a case like this, go to the page, to type in Google USCIS flexibility extension, see the most recent version of it, and see what kind of case you have, whether it's a notice of intent to deny, it's for an appeal, I-290B, whether it's an RFE, and see, usually it's like you get an additional 60 days after the due date that they say, but it varies. You got to read it and see exactly what it says there to make sure it matches, but it gives a lot of extra time for you to respond and get the documents you need to respond. So that's been a godsend. We've been using it for sure.
So this is the most recent extension that they did, will last till October 23rd, 2022. I'm not, they were saying a couple of times that this will be the last one, but they still keep extending it. So I'm not sure if this will be the really last one. Yeah. So keep an eye on that if you have any dealings with the immigration.
Yeah, I wish they would keep this extra time, because like sometimes the government sends like an RFE, and by the time it gets to us, it's like 2 or 3 weeks already passed. And sometimes you got to get a document from a home country. The bureaucracy is not efficient. It takes months to get it. So it's kind of unfair. And sometimes people might not have a lawyer. They file themselves. By the time they get the RFE, they're like, oh, wow, if you get a lawyer, you got to find a lawyer that are busy, or you got to find one that matches you. And then it eats up all this time. So it really should have this much extra time anyways. Some RFEs are only valid for 30 days. You have to respond within 30 days. You get it, it already eats up a week by the time the mail gets you. So you have 3 weeks to maybe find a lawyer, and the lawyer has to work on it in a rush. That rush makes things more expensive too. And you might not be able to get the document. So having extra 60 days, it really should be something that I wish people would contact a congressperson to push USCIS to update their regulations and stuff, because it's not fair. The current timing schedule is too harsh on the applicants and petitioners.
Yeah, and again, one small tip: if you're doing your application yourself, make sure that you have an online account with the USCIS, because they should yes, not necessarily that they will, but they should be sending you all the paperwork online, and you go just to your cabinet and you'll be able to see the RFE, receipt notices, like everything there before it comes in the mail within a week. So that's something that can save you time and cost you a mistake in your application. So make sure you do that.
So on that kind of it's happy that the extension's there, but it's going to end. It's going to be unhappy. Along with the other thing that's unhappy is the National Visa Center, for those doing consular processing, has suspended its phone line. So you might have tried calling them and they're not answering. That's been a formal thing that they took away. Only way to really communicate on most stuff is through their online portal. And it takes like 2 months to get a response from them. If you submitted civil documents to the CICAC website for your processing, it takes around 2 months for them to review it. And we see errors in at least a couple % of the time where they'll approve documents. Like we have one case right now where they said the marriage certificate is fine, but then they send us a message saying it's missing the marriage certificate. And we have to then contact them to say, hey, this doesn't make any sense, and it takes them a long time to respond. So it adds a lot of delays unnecessarily to the case, but it's just what we're dealing with right now.
Yeah, and talking about NVC, what we see recently, like it's really now, if you file, for example, to not extension, to expedite your case with the National Visa Center or with the embassy. Now National Visa Center doesn't do expedite; they just forward your expedite to the embassy. And what we see, the criteria stay the same, but it's very hard nowadays to get your expedite request approved. Yeah. So what we do, we utilize like different strategy. Just having everything right from the beginning helps you to save a lot of time. Not going back and forth with NVC and stuff like that, because, for example, if one document is missing or it's not correct, like say police certificate not from the proper agency or something, it can cost you 3 months of your life being separated from your spouse, for example. So
Yeah, then the later you get documents that qualify, the later they put you in the queue for an interview at the embassy. And a lot of these embassies are backed up. So as you said, the best thing to do is on our side, just make sure it's clean as possible. But we had that one example this morning. I sent an email to the gentleman too. Like we've got a congressional involvement because the NBC again has approved all the documents, but it says one's missing, and we keep saying, "What are you talking about? It's there. What doesn't make any sense?" And they're just not working with us. So we got a congressional, we got the guy's congressperson involved, and explain to them and say they're just not being logical. Is it? So,
yeah. So now if you wanna connect to National Visa Center, there's only one way. It's Ask NVC. You just can Google it. It's like online form that you fill out, and it gets sent to them, and they should get back to you within like 2 or 3 months.
So another thing is happening is somewhat is kind of like National Visa Center. It's for diversity visa applications. Once they're approved, if you get selected in the green card lottery essence, the case then moves on to State Department processing. The KCC, they always forget what it stands for. It's Kentucky something center. Kentucky.
Yeah. Counselor, probably counselor.
Yeah, I don't know why I always forget it, but they are. This has already happened, but you don't upload civil documents anymore. You bring them to the interview, which I don't like because I'd rather have them review it first. You don't want to go to the interview and then have to get more stuff there. But they changed the regulations for diversity visa lottery that was I think started during Trump's time maybe that you have to have a valid passport at the time of entering the lottery. That was really harsh on a lot of people, but they got rid of that. And there's a lot of lawsuits happening right now for cases that are pending during COVID or they're not being adjudicated by the embassy. So it's causing delays, it's causing denials because there's a deadline of the end of September of the next year of when you're chosen to have this case done. And so these lawsuits are still pending. We're going to see what happens with it. People are going to be saved or not by the judges. But it's such a messy situation. But, when you win the green card lottery, you get chosen, you still haven't won. You just got a chance to enter. There's a lot of hurdles. Yeah. You got to win twice. Yeah. And they give 50,000 visas a year, but pretty much only like 30,000 of them actually become green cards. So when you hear these statistics by like anti-immigration people that are giving away 50,000 green cards, usually much less than that. There's an opportunity for 50,000, but it doesn't really come up to that number because there's just so many places that can get you on this and that you get messed up. If you have like a typo, like in your name on the initial registration, they're going to deny your case. And we've seen cases where people had a typo or they didn't list a child that was like a 30-year-old child. They didn't list it on the green card lottery application. They got their green card. 5-6 years later, they applied for citizenship and they caught the error then and they went and took away the person's green card. So you got to be very cautious when you're doing these applications.
Yeah, be careful with that. So the last news that we wanted to talk about today, it's what happened with DACA this summer. Really, there's this new rule, but there's no change really. Like in practice, there's no change. So can you brief us about that?
Sure. So DACA, Deferred Action of Child Arrivals, is a thing that Obama started for those who came here as children and stayed here, haven't done any legal stuff or have criminal history. You'll be able to stay here without threat of deportation at 2-year renewable intervals and get a work permit, social security number, so they can live their lives here because they pretty much lived here their whole lives. And the Trump administration tried to get rid of it. It went to the Supreme Court, all this kind of stuff. It was on hold. The current administration updated the regulations, essentially keeping things as they are, which means that, and this was the sad part about it, is the regs that Obama had put in place was that you have to have been under the age of 31 in June 15, 2012. So right now, DACA people can still renew and stuff like that, but it really closes the door for a lot of new people from having this opportunity once this regulation goes into effect. Because if you came in, if you were like 32 on June 2012, you still can't use it. So the pool of people who can file for DACA is still the same as it was before. They didn't expand it, even though there's probably million plus people that could be expanded to. But that's just the way it is right now. We'll see what happens. It seems like DACA for now is going to come back pretty soon, especially for new ones. But there's so much litigation on this happening and people suing it from different states that it's all still up in the air how it's going to play out.
Yeah, well, let's hope for the best, right? Let's do what we can, right? Help our clients advocate.
For sure. One thing that we're doing is a lot of people have DACA and they need to go visit family members who have business needs. They get advanced parole and travel and come back. Not only do they see the loved one who's sick or maybe in the hospital or passed away, or they deal with their business need, but once they re-enter, that is a lawful entry for the purposes of adjustment of status. So if they're married to a U.S. citizen, then they could also file for adjustment of status. We've been following several of those. So there's different ways that the DACA could still help you, in addition to the ability to get a work permit and social security number.
Yeah, so if you need help with that, please feel free to reach out. We'll be more than happy to assist you with any immigration needs you may have.
Definitely. So it's been an interesting summer. It's been fun. It's been really hot here in Los Angeles. I have my third kid, so it's been an eventful summer for me. Hopefully with everyone else. How about you, Anya? You went on a good trip.
Yeah, like everyone asks me, how was your vacation? I'm like, hey guys, well, there really no vacation. I just changed my Zoom background and I just realized that it's still blurry. So yeah, I'm not a tech person, so I turned it. I was able to turn it on, but now I don't know how to turn it off. So, but we'll probably fix it for the next recording. Yeah, it's been great. I'm so glad to have this flexibility to be able to work from different places, and this is one of things that I love about my job, apart from helping people, of course.
It helps our clients a lot. So wherever we are, any pretty much time of the day, we're always working because a lot of it is just communicating, getting information from people, and then communicating with the government. So when you're traveling, that's why you have different backgrounds. So if people see other videos, you have different kind of backgrounds this summer. But you'll still continue to work, and our clients know that it was seamless. So at most, maybe being on a plane was some time off where you would answer. But we always have 2 lawyers on each case. So every time you got an email, it could respond, I could jump on it. That's the difference with our firms to others is we overdo the service and as much as possible. So instead of having 10 paralegals working on a case, you have 2 lawyers and maybe an assistant or paralegal. But you always have legal minds, actual attorneys working on your case, and there's always at least two, if not something, there's 3. So there's always someone there that could jump on it to avoid, if something happens, God forbid, you can't get to an email, we are there to take care of you.
Yeah. So if you need someone to hold your hand through the whole process, through the whole immigration process, we can do that for you.
Definitely, that's our mission. Thank you so much. Catch some more of this on YouTube. We have a podcast where podcasts are possible and visible. You can download on the JK Law Firm's Immigration Talk podcast. You may get another podcast that pops up called the Immigration Lawyers Podcast. That's my business to business for immigration lawyers, but you can catch that stuff there if you like it. I guess that's it. See you all next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for watching. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching this educational program. To get the latest videos, click the subscribe button and the notification bell icon. Also, help us help the immigrant community by liking this video and sharing it with your family and friends. You can also find us on other social media sites like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Twitter, where you find the latest updates on immigration news, policy changes, and tips. Be safe and God bless. See you soon.